So let's see what's in store for us today. As we all know, the engines on Sir Topham Hatt's railway enjoy doing the jobs they love. What they aim to hear most, though, is being told they're really useful. Nothing could make them happier to know that. But even with that said, sometimes things end up being rather useless. For those things that are made of metal, they end up going to Croc's Scrapyard, a place where old parts and other various metal objects are melted down and made into new parts. This is obviously a place no engine ever desires to go, but they are required at times to go and help move whatever items may be there. Weird how that is a paradox in itself. Metal taking old metal to be made into new metal. Feels almost cannibalistic. Anyway, this is exactly what Edward's role was for today.
I'm going to the scrapyard today, Edward called to Thomas. What? Already? You're not that old, replied Thomas cheekily. Thomas was only teasing.
Yes, for once a jab that actually isn't mean-spirited. Now, if Thomas made more jokes like that, then I wouldn't bash on him so much. That was at least clear Thomas meant it was just to be funny and not as an insult. Why couldn't he do that other times? Whatever. When Edward arrived at the scrapyard, he was shocked to find a moping traction engine. His name was Trevor, and he was sad too because he was on board for a scrapping. The reason why he was there was that his master thought he was old-fashioned. However, Trevor's driver clarified that all he really needed was paint, polish, and oil in order to work. Well, that's stupid if you ask me. If that's all Trevor needed, I'm sure someone would buy him. Now, if all Trevor kept doing was breaking down due to faulty design, then okay, I can see why. But this? This reason is just dumb. Edward also found that justification to be quite silly.
What a shame, said Edward. People say I'm old-fashioned, but I don't care. The Fat Controller says I'm a useful engine. What work did you do?
And so Trevor told him. Much of his work was traveling to other farms to execute different types of hauling jobs. But the best part for Trevor was giving rides to children. It was something he was very enthusiastic about, and it gave him a sense of belonging. What I don't get is just how dingy Trevor looks at this moment, and yet he tells the story like it was only a month ago he did all this work. How on earth did he get so filthy? He actually looks like he's been sitting there for decades more than just a few weeks. As Trevor finished his story, Edward had to leave and couldn't help but think about trying to save Trevor. When he reached Wellsworth Station, it turned out he came across the exact person who would be able to help. Standing on the platform was the local vicar. Hoping to persuade him, Edward tried his best to get him to think on it, of which he did. The next day, Trevor's driver came by to prep him for the vicar. When the vicar came, Trevor gave it his all, and with a new theme, too.
Later, he came out of the office smiling. I've got him cheap, Jem.
Wait, what? First of all, there's nothing wrong with getting a good deal, but announcing your cheap purchase out at the public and possibly in front of Trevor seems a bit insensitive. You so cheap, Trevor! I'm sure everyone would love to know their value is cheap. How about we save that for a more enclosed setting, shall we? Moving on from that, though, with Trevor all cleaned up, he was really able to show off what he could do. And that tune for him was perfect. I wouldn't say Trevor belongs in a circus, but since he does provide entertainment in some manner, the fact that his cue sounds like it belongs to one is rather fitting. And with that, Trevor was able to be at peace living at the vicarage orchard, instead of being broken down and made into something else. There he was given jobs like he used to do, and also was still able to give rides to children at the local church when they had parties. Yo! Edward needs like a promotion. Or something. I know that's just his nature to be like this, but this is just too good to ignore. Just look how happy Trevor is.
With a wooden seat bolted to his bunker, he chuffers round the orchard, giving rides to children. Long afterwards, you will see him shut his eyes, remembering. I like children, he whispers happily.
That facial expression used for Trevor kind of looks like E.T. I don't know why. Alien faces aside, though, Edward is an amazing engine with such great values. Again, unfortunately, this is not an episode about him, but something where his influence comes into play. What's more creative about the narrative is that this story reflects exactly how Edward was treated back in his own episode of Season 1. At first, Edward was depressed because it felt like no one would ever use him again. But then his driver and fireman came in and showed that he could be of worth to the railway. Now we have Edward acting like his driver and fireman and saving another engine vehicle by proving to someone else he too can be of use and not old-fashioned. Love how that rubbed off onto Edward. Trevor the traction engine is a quirky little character. He obviously has his place, but is no railway engine. Thankfully, he now has a chance to live again on another farm where he can show what he's made of. Forget that old master, Trevor. He don't know what he's missing. For music, we get Edward's theme, which is always good to hear. And we now have a new tune to add. Finally. As mentioned before, Trevor's theme has a circus-like flavor to it that would only naturally fit him because of what he does. No other character would get this kind of sound. We also got more locations. We are now very familiar with Wellsworth Station and the Tidmouth Goods Station, but we have not seen Sudbury Castle, which looks more or less like the castle from Arsdale in Toby and the Stout Gentleman, but I'll let that slide. Nor have we got a glimpse of the Vicarage Orchard or Croc's Scrapyard. For what it's worth, nothing has been shown yet until now what the end of an engine's life could mean. And so far, Croc's Scrapyard is the closest we've gotten. It's not dark in atmosphere, but it is a glimpse of what happens to things that are no longer needed, which is unsettling in some ways. Good thing Edward knows how to work his magic. Next episode is Old Iron. Thanks for watching.